Hi, here I am again. With a bit of a different topic today, um, which is mainly my concern for today's youth. Um, my wanting to understand um, why, why they value their life at that level of just um, using knives to sort anything out, killing one another, so easily, and for girls to just expose themselves, to use nudity, to use their body as I don't know, as a way to exchange and interact and create relationships. When we think about so much was done by feminists to be valued for our brains, and now these young people, they're using their body as a, I don't know, introduction card, visitation card. Here is me, look, here is me, this is me, hello. What is your name? This is my name. And then expecting love. What has happened? What has broken into these young people's minds? I mean, I can relate to so many things. I mean, when I was a punk, I joined a youth cult because I didn't feel I belonged into my family, into my culture. So I felt the need to create an alternative family and an alternative culture. So I can take that much. But the reason is, I know why I felt bad in my culture, in my family. I would like to know why they are feeling bad in today's culture and in today's families. What is driving them away? Because we know not everybody that is taken to the streets now with knives come from broken families. Not all of them. And not all of these girls who, are so sexually active come from broken families. We also know that the number of autistic children is increasing. So even that, why? What is going on? What's happening? Could it be a consequence of vaccinations? Because, we know very well the government also has nasty tricks when it comes to the people of Europe. It has been coming out with all sorts of things. But going back to the youth, I really like to create like a panel where I can hear testimonies, where I can hear from these young people's mouths what is going on in their brain, what is going on in their hearts that's making them make the choices that they make. Even about sex seems to be such a big issue, and the government is promoting this, trying to teach sex even to very young children. So and we see how sex, the quicker you become sexually active, the quicker you are distracted from being creative in other ways. As a child, that's the time where you dedicate yourself to studying or sports or some kind of form of creativity. When you become sexually active, it becomes a very, very big distraction, like drugs as well. So in the punk days, for example, we were not all the same. I mean, a lot of those ones who initially came up with the idea of to dress in a certain way were students. They were from art school. I remember my favorite muse, punk muse, Catwoman Sue. She was in the Bromley contingent with the Susie and the Banshees and others. And then another one, Jordan, that made a film, a punk film as well, Jubilee. I mean, she was she was a very artistic person as well. So I don't think all of them came from broken families or mental illness. And even in them days, I remember, a lot of these punks came to London just for gigs, but they lived at home with their parents. So yeah, they would experiment with the clothes and the stuff, but then they had a safe place to go back to. They had food, and they were being taken care of. But then there was the other part of us, the runaways, or the ones who just, came from broken families, who lived in squats. And so we faced a different kind of, to us, it was really a matter of life and death. Like even the leader of the Sex Pistols, Joe Lydon, I mean, the songs that he wrote, I would think taken by the letter, honestly. But he was being sarcastic sometimes. He was just being, he was a bright guy. He wasn't stupid. But part of the punk movement was also pretending to be very thick. Now, some people in the punk movement was very thick, but not all of us. It was a game. Part of this identity that we created, we were making a mockery of everything. Even sexuality, so yeah, we dressed in miniskirts and stuff like that. But then we would be all smirking and be nasty, We wore black lipstick. And it's not like, I was never into kinky sex. It was really like saying, you want to use me? Okay, here I am, your object. You touch me, you see what happens to you. That's how I lived it out. But I know that's we were like promiscuous as well, but we were going against what were the values of that generation. We were trying to say, look, the way that society is not working out, and we were making a mockery of it. Of course, then getting into drugs, you always think like that you are smart, but a lot of people got killed by drugs. Some people also died in police custody, and because we provoked, and a lot of us, get drunk and out of it and just be very disrespectful. And also the police knew that some of us had no homes, and they knew that if anything happened to us, nobody would come looking and saying anything. So they could actually afford to treat us in certain ways. They knew that nobody would come looking for us. So, even among us punks, we were not all the same. We were not all coming from the same backgrounds. We were not all there for the same reasons. Some people really had a great time in them days, going to gigs and everything. For others, it became our deathbed. Also, I can see some of the things that are happening now, the way kids are very territorial. It was happening with some of us. With some of us, it was happening. I think it's just the street. For example, there was a lot of skinheads back then. There was British movement, National Front, and so there was a lot of racism. And also fighting between people coming from different parts of London, because of the football. So Skins had a lot of fights because of football as well, and they also fought as punks. And then there was, all youth cults always had an enemy. There's always been part of youth cults. Mods and Skins still fight each other down in Brighton. And Skinheads. I mean, the only really friendly ones were Trojan Skinheads, and I was one of them for a while, because it was all about ska music, and it was not about race. Also because ska music is Jamaican, so it would have been a bit ridiculous for a skinhead that's dancing to Prince Buster to be racist after that, So, yeah, there was different people doing different things, with different things going through their minds, yeah. But we were a minority. That's the big difference between yesterday and today. Those of us kids who were mentally disturbed and behaving in certain ways, living this death wish, we were a minority. Well, today we see that the number of young people who are into really, they're so familiar with death and with destructive behavior. We see very young children now vaping until they end up in a hospital and go in a coma with their lungs collapsed. We see very young children, I mean, that age, and they're already causing fights, and they're just kids, they're just babies. I mean, in my days, it just kids that young, you wouldn't really find them around. They were a rare sight, a very rare sight, to find these young kids among drug addicts or prostituting themselves. They were a rare sight, thank God. There were some, but rare. And now you see how this society has allowed this death machine to touch everyone, to touch children right from when they're inside the belly to every other step of the growth. And if that wasn't enough, I mean, our Western culture has basically made freedom into a license to kill. They made it possible for drugs to be sold all over the place. They've imported people who come over just to produce and sell drugs. They have extended laws so that rapists and abuse towards children is not punished, or is punished in a very ridiculous way. There's people who get more time in prison for tweets than rapists and child murderers. They have made sex into as like, your right to sex is even bigger than your right to education, that your right to work, that your right to prosper, that your right to health. They've made sex to be something that even a child has to know about it. And that's diabolical, right? That's diabolical. But people are just falling into it. And while we're all busy just thinking about our stuff, the governments are just preparing for our destruction. They're even bringing people to replace us. People who are used to be part of a big scheme and be told what to do. So they're doing away with us, with our youth, who have grown up with a certain degree of freedom. They're allowing us to use whichever way, you can even decide you want to die now. You say you're depressed, and you can legally go to hospital, and in some countries, and they're pushing it for the UK as well. And then you can just go to hospital and be killed. Some woman in Spain was gang raped by immigrants, and her choice was to have euthanasia, to be killed, to die. Instead of these guys being, punished severely, no, she had the choice to kill herself so she wouldn't have to live with the trauma. This is what our governments are doing for us. Say, well, this has happened to you. We can't really do much to them because, they are victims themselves. They come from places with their culture. But if it's too much for you, you can always stop yourself. We'll help you. So the governments, the only help they give people is to die. A young woman is pregnant. Instead of creating help so she can keep the child, so she can raise the child, or she can have the child adopted. No. You can just kill the child anytime. Now you can kill your child anytime before birth. Now that's nasty. That's diabolical. That's murder. So all the society is doing is creating ways to make death familiar. Yeah. You can turn your body upside down and decide you want to be another sex and just start pumping hormones and having surgeries, which is, total act of violence. But they make you think that you're free. They're allowing you. They're even paying for your surgery. So, they really are making anything that is harmful, anything that's dangerous, anything that is anything to do with death, they're elevating it. And while we're all busy carrying out our freedoms, yeah, they are just thinking up how to control us better and better every day. You know, in this digital ID, there's going to be controlled by the European community, a central control, in one place that's going to control the whole of Europe. I mean, don't you see the implications of that? Well, coming back to us, you know, these things of being territorial and fighting people from different places, I think it's always been there. I mean, even as a punk, where we were kind of united, you know, by music and by the fact that so many other people hated us, so we tried to be united among us. But some ancient beef, like, you know, the Irish and the Scottish with the English, even the Welsh with the English, you know, it was there. I've actually experienced it when I went to gigs and events outside London. I could see that as soon as they heard the accent, he was a Londoner, they were just on the lookout for any excuse to start a fight. At the same time, when people from out of London came to London, they'd be mocked, you know, people would take the mickey out of them. So there's this thing. And also the Irish and the English, even like I had loads of friends that were punks and I loved them to bits. But I could hear in their conversations that, you know, of course, me being Italian, I can't understand, you know, this has been going on for so long between them. So I'm not judging, but I'm saying it was very hurtful for me, because when I look at Great Britain, I just love it. When I look at the map, I see this island, you know, and I see Ireland next to it, and I just love it. And to me, it's just the one place, you know, but it's not for you people, of course, I've noticed and realised, because of all the wars and the injustice, and especially the Irish, you know, they've had so much injustice happen to them. They suffered so much, but still, you know, now, I mean, would you rather become a Muslim country, or would you rather make peace with the English and, you know, unite and be one people? I mean, there's differences. I mean, it's your choice. Are you going to carry on having beef between one another? Well, you're having beef with one another. You know, these people, they're just taking over. And this is the same kind of question I'm asking to these young people today. And I know a lot of these young people are their children of foreigners who have come to the UK, or they've come to Europe, but they've not settled in a way with love. They settled with anger. It's like they don't want to leave their parents, but they then also don't want to be assimilated by the countries that they're living in. So what are you here for? I'd really like to have a panel where we could, you know, discuss all the hate, all the death cult of dealing and, you know, having a knife being a solution for everything. You can't really have words with anyone anymore. They pull a knife out. I mean, we fought with skinheads fought with mods, rockabillys, the you know, bikers. The only ones that honestly we didn't fight with was the Rastafarians, the Yardis, because they carried shotguns. And also bikers, a lot of bikers in England had shotguns. So just be wise, like if you don't want your head being blown off. But that was really like, you know, I can't say I know of many people who died in my days if it wasn't for drugs. A couple in police custody, or some died of accidents, like that one that fell out the window. We never knew if it was pushed or he fell out because it was out of his head. So yeah, I know of people who died from drugs, too many to be honest, but I'd like to understand what's going on in these generations' minds, because my God, once you have lost, you know, once you're gone, what's coming next is just going to be slavery. There's going to be just police states. I just wish to know, you know, my dream is, I know that not all of you are happy living the life that you're living. I've seen people already try to leave the gangs behind, and it's very hard, because once you're living by the sword, like the Bible says, you live by the sword, you die by the sword. It is true, isn't it? I mean, come on, you can't have a family. You live that way, you have a family. Be prepared to suffer, because the time comes when they can't get you, they will get your family. Or they will get your family to hurt you, because they will not hurt you more than kill you. So it is that intent to hurt you more. If they kill you, you wouldn't suffer so much as if you were alive and had to see your family being killed. So I really like to speak with different youth who have, you know, even different mindsets, and bring into the panel their experience, even the girls, you know, to understand what drives them to walk down the street in a way that anyone can see every little bit of flesh, every, you know, whatever, the body, anyone can see what drives them. Why do they want to be seen so much? I mean, us punks, we wanted to be seen. We wanted to be seen, we wanted to be heard. And to be honest, London was a much better place when us and the Rastafarians and the Indians and, you know, all these different cultures, there were places where there's just Africans that would go. You see so much colour. I mean, that's why I love London. You could see the whole world just being in London. The only people with burqas were in Mayfair in my days. That's the only place where I've ever seen somebody completely covered up. And these women travelled in limousines with their Harrods bags. You know, that's the only place where you saw people all dressed in black, all covered up, in Mayfair. So that never bothered me. Now you see streets full of them. It's horrible. Where is the colour? Where is the sound? Where is the music? When you go to Notting Hill now, you don't have record shops anymore, blasting out reggae music. No. You see plenty of drug addicts, but there's no music. Because these culture, man, they just don't have these things. They don't. And most of them don't wear colourful clothes. Most of them, they just all dressed in, even these young people now, they're all dressed in black, wearing masks. At least a hip-hop culture, they dressed nice, colourful, and they did their hair in all different styles. They were very creative. Their dances, I mean, hip-hop, freestyle and dance, that it just made you, you know, like you could watch them and you were dreaming, thinking, what is this? This is just beautiful. It's the best art I've ever seen, to be able to dance in that way. Now, this music that's going on now is just a death threat with some bass underneath. The bass underneath, and then I will do you this, I will do you that. My God. Where is it gone? The fun, where is it? The art, you know, dancing, the way they dance required, you know, plenty of practice. It required. That's why I like these people are going around now. They carry big knives, because I believe they don't even have physical strength. If they were to do a punch up, they probably, so many of them, they wouldn't be able to stand up, you know, and have a fight. So why is life become so expendable? Life has become so cheap. Why are bodies that are worth absolutely nothing? Now, you tell me what is going on. I really want to speak to this youth. Why have your bodies become so worthless? That a boy can die for nothing. And some girls, the same now, they start going around killing people. You know, they just do the same. And why do girls, you know, price their bodies as I don't know, like their ID is sex. Their ID, when you meet them, you see their tits, you see their ass, you see whatever, right? Why is that the first thing that you want to see? When you meet somebody, the first thing that you want to see is the bits and pieces. Why do you want people to see that of you as the first thing when they see you? Is that your value, your body? Maybe that's what these generations think, that your body. And honestly, I mean, I can see even older people do that, because there's older people who go and have plastic surgery at a certain age, and you think at that age, you know, you still want people to look at your ass, that you go and have your ass lifted and your tits boosted and the rest of it. I mean, honestly, yeah, there's some flab on me that I would, you know, if I had loads of money, I would be very tempted of getting rid of that flab, because honestly, after a certain age, doesn't matter diet and everything that you do, if you don't want to spend your whole time, you know, working out and eating in a certain way, it's just time consuming. So I would get rid of some flab. But if I could do better with that money, if I could help someone, you know, I would really like to have a panel. I don't know if any of you can just create it, so we can do an online thing where people just come and say their piece, to really share where they're coming from, with their style, with their thoughts, with the things they do, you know. And if they're doing terrible things, you want to wear a mask, you know, because you don't want to be recognized. Well, when we're left, I can understand that, you know. But that's really, I cannot rest until I know what's going on with you guys. And guys, when I say guys, I mean girls as well. And I really wish I will be in a place in my life when I can open up special community resources to help those who've had enough of it, and they started to develop a love for life, and they just want to give life another chance. And that's my prayer, really, to be in that kind of place, that once we have spoken, once we have understood, once we made a point of the situations, my heart is that some of you will say, okay, I want to give life a shot, see what else there is other than what I've been doing so far, see what else is there for me. And that's where I like to be, really. And so I'm just waiting for you guys to set up a panel where we can log in and just share things. Then, of course, once I be established in the things I want to do, I pray that I'll be hosting television shows where I can ask young people to come in, and we can have discussions and put them on the air, so that more and more young people can just, you know, start to think about a little bit what they're doing and who they are. And even parents and even us older people be able to understand you more, better, and we can just recreate the society that's actually broken all of us, and just start again, and do it before those people in power totally do away with us and then eliminate us. You know, leaving alive only those that are just killing one another, because they know that they're just doing the job for them, and doing away with everybody else that's got any expectation to live a life with a bit of justice, with a bit of reward, with a bit of, you know, looking forward to stuff, enjoying what you earn, not paying taxes on everything, like, you know, put you off from working, really. You know, a good minimum wage, accommodation prices to go down. We want to see stuff that just allow people to enjoy life again. And we want to see a society where people don't get rewarded from doing nothing, but the ones that get rewarded are the ones that are working, the ones that are studying, the ones that the builders, the ones that want to build. Not the ones that just their only job is to produce children who are going to be out there in poverty, and these children are going to think the only thing they can do is sell drugs to get some money. and then they're never going to feel at peace anywhere, because their parents want to keep them. They want them to, I don't know, have a certain mentality in a place that is different from where they come from. So in the end, they just don't have a place. Their head doesn't fit in with the places where they come from, but it doesn't even fit in with the places where they are. So all they do is go mad and cause havoc and kill one another and be a pain in the ass for everybody else. So we don't want that. We want the children of this generation, yeah, even the children of migrants, to be successful. But they have to decide, yeah, which side they want to be on. If you've been taught that you have to take over, that you have to kill us, you have to rape our women, and no, sorry. No, it can't be done. It has to be something better to do in life for all of us, even them young people included, who have been taught nothing but hate. So some of us have come to hate because we lack things in our own families, in our own societies. Others are currently taught to hate just because it's an ideology. Whichever way, most of these kids now are living a life of barrenness, of being unfruitful and just producing hurt, negativity, death, loss of life, broken families. You name it, it's there. So we want to stop this, and we want to start being pro-life, not just for the children in the bellies, pro-life for everybody. I want a pro-life movement for adults as well, for young people as well. I want pro-life for everyone, not just for the babies. Because I tell you, the way this world is going is against life, is against life itself. So I'm looking forward to be doing something with you guys and girls very soon. And I'll send you all my love and God bless you, yeah? Let's start building again.